Yeah, it's funny. I spent a lot of years, obviously, researching this and reading about it and talking to people, oil men and European, secretive money guys and people that do seem to have their hands on levers that I didn't know existed. And you can analyze really you can analyze geopolitics from a financial perspective. And then there's this kind of flip side that says, well, you don't really believe it's just about oil, do you, Steve? That's so naive. It's not about that. It's about the fundamentalists driving policy and thinking there's going to be last days on the shores of Jerusalem. Or it's really about a re-election strategy that, no president in a time of war has ever been unseated, so you have to have a war. And so, anyway, there's the money side, and then there's kind of like this amorphous, it's all these other things. And you go, all right, we put these incredible sanctions into place against Iraq. Iraq has all this energy in the Western Desert. No one knows what's out there exactly. It hasn't really been surveyed properly. But there are rumors of Saudi-size pools of energy underneath the ground. Well, during our embargo phase, where no American companies are allowed to trade with Iraq, what's happening? What's happening in Iraq? I can tell you what's happening. The French are trading with Iraq. The Russians are trading with Iraq. The Japanese and Chinese are trading with Iraq. And so America has now got last seat at the table. There's not even crumbs left for us. So in a post-embargo world, post-92, we don't get any of that energy unless what? Unless you reset the table.
Yeah.
And if you reset the table, then all those agreements and alliances are thrown out. And now it's open, and obviously, our Halliburton-run government will have first dibs going in. Now, I'm massively conflicted by this because I'm also a huge beneficiary of the standard of living in the United States. I know what it means to be able to get in my fucking 66 GTO and go cruising around with the top down on the LA freeways. So it's not easy to point fingers. It's complicated. But I'll tell you, the minute I threw out all those tortured arguments for the Iraq war and suddenly said, well, what if we're just resetting the table for energy?
Yeah, follow the money.
You just go, suddenly, you're not confused anymore. You go, oh.
I wish they'd just been following the money.
If they'd just been honest, I swear to you, if the president of the United States went to the country and said, listen, here's what happened, and we need this oil. We need it. Look, you're driving an SUV. You think you need it? You need it. I think America would have gone, all right, I buy that, It's in our national interest. But there's just all this tortured, hidden, sneaky bullshit covering it up that drives you crazy.
As a citizen, not a filmmaker, what did you learn from Syriana?
That's an awesome question, because it was really just one jaw drop. I mean, the research phase, where I got to travel in Europe with this CIA officer, ex-CIA officer, but 23 years as a CIA officer, and I started to network through his Rolodex, essentially. And you meet these kind of, global oil and arms guys, and very early on, I kept hearing this quote, and it was so amazing. They said, the oil business and the arms business are the same business. It's the same business. Get it through your head, Steve. It's the same business. And I'm like, huh? What? They go, no, the dollar figures on arms deals are too big. Governments don't write checks. You want to sell like $14 billion worth of, fighter jets to some country. You don't go, well, here's a check for $14 billion, thank you, and deposit it, at the Citibank. It's like what happens actually is oil's traveling on a bunch of tankers headed some way under a Liberian flag. That oil's owned by X company. Suddenly it's under one government flag in a partnership with three people. Suddenly the flag changes, the ship changes direction, and the payment for these jets comes in energy. Energy and arms, the bullet and the oil are the same thing. And I was just like, and these are the guys, that have their own 767s, have the $100 million estate overlooking Geneva. And you tend to take them seriously.